Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Make or Break Sports Podcast. Today is Monday, August 28th. I'm Matt. Got Ben over there.
How we doing, guys? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you tonight.
Packed episode tonight, guys. We have a
Good
really
one.
good
We got a
episode
good
for
one
you.
for you.
All kinds of stuff going on in the world of sports right now. Football season right on the horizon. Fantasy football drafts happening all over the place. The big fight, the money fight this past weekend. Ben, you didn't get to check out the fight, did you?
I didn't get to watch, no, but I kind of followed along and saw what was going on. So it seemed like it was something fun. I know you got to watch it, so you can give me a little breakdown, a little
Yeah,
synopsis
so
there.
we'll just start off with a quick recap because I know we had a little betting implication on the money fight, Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather. Floyd getting the best of Conor in the 10th round by way of technical knockout. Conor McGregor put up more of a fight than I thought, than a lot of people thought he could. Early on, he really did beat up Floyd a little bit, but then once you got to the fourth and the fifth round, you started to see Floyd's expertise and his just a veteran boxer that started to show. And McGregor got tired, couldn't land any punches, and Mayweather just kind of took it from there, ending getting a technical knockout. But it was a really cool fight to watch. We did buy it. A bunch of guys at school here bought the fight. It was really cool. Congratulations to Floyd Mayweather, 50-0. He says he's calling it quits. Who knows? For another couple $100 million, I'm sure we could pull him out of retirement. How would you like to lose a fight and make $127 million?
Yeah, I mean, that's not too bad. I mean, I know I would get beat up for $127 million. You know, I would take that.
Could you
I mean,
survive in the round with? Could you survive in the ring with Floyd Mayweather for
I
a
I don't
couple
know.
minutes?
That's just it. I mean, I think I could survive. I mean, I wouldn't last long. I'm not saying anything like I wouldn't try to throw a punch.
No, dude, I'm
It would
out in
just
the
be like
corners.
this. I
I'm
mean,
running
but
around.
you know me, he hits my nose in one time and it's
Yeah,
just game
dude.
over. So
Yeah, we can't let them know you're the weak spot is the 8-time
but
broken nose. But no, it was a really cool fight. It was an awesome experience. Thought it was a lot better than Mayweather Pacquiao from a couple years back. That fight was pretty lame. So this fight was pretty cool. Leading into it, all the undercard fights were pretty good. The fight right before that was good. So it was a solid night for boxing. I think that hopefully we'll see the sport of boxing continue. I think it'll be tough. Definitely anxious to see McGregor get back in the octagon here soon in MMA because that man is a freak. Congrats to McGregor as well. He put up a good fight, and it was cool to watch for sure. So that's pretty much all it is with boxing. Oh, by the way, guys, I did bet on McGregor with 4-1 odds. Ben took Mayweather, and Money Mayweather brought home the money for Ben, getting him that 1 point. So that's another win for him in the challenge. Not the only win, though, of the day. I actually got a W because the Indianapolis Colts beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in preseason action. So,
yeah, we didn't mention it last week, but Matt's a huge Colts fan. I'm a huge Steelers fan. They played in the preseason, which the game means absolutely nothing. So Matt, I'll give you the win. I don't really care because when it comes to the regular season, we'll have all our people playing and we'll still get smoked. So,
hey, now, come on now. No.
congratulations.
So I did get a win from that. But that's basically all we have for the boxing match. It was really cool. I enjoyed it. It was something that was really different to see. I think it lived up to the hype for the most part. So that was definitely cool. Congrats to Floyd Money Mayweather. So other big news, really quick, just not related to football right now. We're talking Kyrie Irving trade. What do you think, Ben? Kyrie Irving traded from the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Is it a trade though? That's the thing. That's
It
the
is
big
not
thing
yet.
right now.
Not official
So,
yet.
so for those of you that don't know, Kyrie Irving got traded to the Celtics in exchange for Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, however you want to pronounce it, and the first round pick from the Brooklyn Nets, unprotected, which will probably be a top 3 pick, if not a number 1 pick. Isaiah Thomas went to Cleveland for his physical. They did not like what they saw when it came to his hip. So right now, Cleveland's going to go. They're going to try and get more from them, probably another draft pick. I personally think that if I'm Boston, I'm doing it. You were going to do it in the first place anyway. Kyrie, you're going to get a guy that's probably, I think he'll end up re-signing there, honestly. You got Gordon Hayward for a couple of years, having Kyrie for a couple of years, I think will be better than any kind of draft pick you can get in the upcoming future because the Celtics pick probably won't be a very high one because they're expected to be good again. So for me, it's I think they should just do it and make it a done deal. But I mean, I understand where they're coming from and not wanting to do it as well. So
Well, yeah, and the Cavaliers now with Isaiah Thomas failing his physical or maybe not being as optimistic about his physical, The Cavs are now saying that the assets they're looking for are Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, which I cannot believe that. I can't believe Boston would do that. I don't.
I can see Jaylen Brown more than Tatum. I think Tatum is legit. I think
The
he
real
fits in.
deal. Tatum's the real deal.
I think with Kyrie, Hayward, and Tatum in that offense, I think those are the three you really need. Kyrie, I mean, Brown's good. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he means as much to that team as Jason Tatum does, because I think Kyrie's going to take over, and the guard position is going to be. I mean, I know he's a point guard. Brown's a little more of a two guard, I would say. I mean, he still can play the point probably, but I think he's more of a two guard.
Yeah, Brown is more of a swingman. I think that he kind of would fit. I think the problem is they're kind of loaded at that position. The only reason I could see them throwing Brown into the mix is just to make sure the trade does go down, because I think at this point, if the trade doesn't go down, it's just going to be bedlam in the NBA, because then Kyrie going back to Cleveland and Isaiah going back to Boston.
Having Kyrie with LeBron now would be something interesting, like having that still happen. Like, it'd be that demeanor.
I think Isaiah Thomas to go back to Boston would be pretty crazy, because a lot of people thought that they just completely disrespected him. I'm one of them. I think they completely disrespected a guy who really carried your franchise last year to winning the East, played a day after his sister passed away, and balled out and won you that playoff game, and then to turn around and flip him like that, in a pretty lopsided trade, in my opinion. I think that the Cavs got the much better end of that deal. So I would say, should the trade go through, even without the extra asset, Cavs, big winner, well done by the Cavs. I mean, I know their ownership isn't always the greatest, but they salvaged what they could out of this trade offer, and if they could get Brown or Tatum, I think that would be absolutely ridiculous. But great work by the Cavs. I think it's crazy. I really think that would make for some awesome basketball in the East. Who do you think would win the East? The Kyrie Irving-led Celtics or the Cavs?
I still think the Cavs would. Isaiah Thomas, as much as Kyrie is kind of crazy with the ball, with the moves, he's the best ball handler probably in the NBA. But I think that Isaiah Thomas is as good a scorer, if not better than Kyrie, in my personal opinion. Isaiah Thomas, he especially in the fourth quarter, they get that closer, which to say LeBron isn't a closer is, trying to kind of rude and disrespectful. But I think Isaiah Thomas is a guy that can hit the game kind of shot and score 20 points in the fourth quarter like he does. He led the NBA in fourth quarter scoring. So they have that guy that can possibly close down. And I think it gives them – I honestly think it makes them compete a little more with the Warriors. I don't think they win, but I think Isaiah Thomas is a plus for them. Jai Crowder's a good defender.
Crowder's a great 3-and-D guy. I was just going to say he's kind of got that. He can bring that Andre Iguodala-like mentality that the Warriors have with Iggy. I think Crowder could be that comparison for the Cleveland Cavaliers coming off the bench. And that first pick is huge, because should LeBron decide to leave, which apparently all signs are pointing to LeBron leaving, which I think is nuts too. Then you have a chance to go snag one of those top three players, because I think the Brooklyn Nets are going to be completely Cleveland Brownish this year. And
Cleveland Brownish.
Cleveland Browns are the floor. That's like the stepping stone for terrible play. And I think the Brooklyn Nets are going to be right around that as well. So good job, the Cavs. Crazy trade. Blew my mind when it was made.
I hope it goes down, though. I think it'd be better off. I think it'd be better off for everybody.
I do too. So. I think it'd be better off for everybody at this point too. So that's pretty much just our quick news. When the Kyrie trade happened, we were like, oh, we got to get on here and start talking about that, because that was going to be just like mind-blowing NBA news. NBA season coming up soon, and we'll have more information on that later. So let's get into it. Everybody's thinking about NFL right now. They're thinking about football.
It is time, man. We both had to draft this weekend. We got our big one tomorrow night. I'm excited.
It's football time. Football's in the air. College football coming this week, and then next week the NFL. So
we got through week 3 of the preseason, which is basically the dress rehearsal for NFL teams. So basically, who you see in preseason week 3, who gets the most time, that's who you're going to see as the starters for your team. And then week 4, basically none of them play. Maybe a drive similar to the first and second game. But the key with these is the third game is normally when you see the injuries occur, because those guys are playing more. And Matt, we saw a fair share of them this weekend. It was a shame. We'll start out.
Some crazy injury issues.
Julian Edelman, first one, wide receiver for the Patriots, led the team in receptions each of the past 3 years, led the team in targets each of the past 3 years, out for the season with a torn ACL. Hate to see it for the guy, especially a guy that's I don't want to say toward the back end of his career, but definitely on the older side of the horizon.
Yeah, he's on his downward slide.
So for me, this hurts a lot for the Patriots. I mean, if all the teams for it to happen to, though, I think the Patriots can adapt because they do have TB12 back there at quarterback.
Yeah, the Patriots definitely are equipped. I mean, if anybody's ever had that next man up mentality, it's the Patriots. It's Bill Belichick. It's Tom Brady. It's Robert Kraft. I mean, they just find guys to step in and fill the role. So I think as far as fantasy goes, in one of my leagues that I just drafted for this past weekend, I was really high. I took Brandon Cooks. I was high on him because I thought
his stock definitely rises.
I think Brandon Cook's stock went way up with Edelman out because Edelman did take so many of those targets and receptions from the other guys because Tom Brady liked him. I think with him out of the picture, that has a possibility now for Brandon Cooks to develop some serious rapport with Tom Brady. I like him a lot. I think he bumps into the wide receiver 1 category now.
Yeah, I agree. And
personal opinion.
I was kind of lower on him before. I said he had the bust potential, but I think this
eliminates
that. This eliminates that because now he can move into the slot more as well as playing on the outside. I think it bumps Gronk up a little bit because there's just more targets for Gronk. The guy to look out for that puts something on the radar, I don't think he's draft worthy yet per se, but I think it's Chris Hogan. I think he's benefits the most out of this. I don't think he necessarily is a draft worthy player yet because I know he had a great last week in the preseason, but he always does well in the preseason. They call him the preseason monster. That's honestly what they call him. Like, I'm not just making that up. So he always performs in the preseason, but I think he's going to get some looks. So definitely keep him on your radar.
Yeah, I think Hogan definitely goes on the. I think Hogan definitely goes on the radar. I think we're going to be seeing Gronk going higher in fantasy drafts. His ADP will sneak up late. Those are just definitely guys to go get. I think their value shot up. Prayers up to Julian Edelman, though, tough injury. Keeping it with the knee tears. Cameron Meredith, third-year wide receiver, heading into his third year with the Bears, goes down with a gruesome knee injury.
That was 2 days ago. That was not a good one. That was yesterday. That was yesterday
against the Titans. Oh, it was ugly.
That was ugly to see. You saw they knew at the start. As soon as it happened, everybody was like ACL, and more. Like this reminded me a lot of Marcus Lattimore type injury in college. I don't know if you remember when his knee kind of just went all different ways. I know his was more of a contact injury, but this one was
it was full ACL tear with some other damage. A guy who hauled in 66 passes for almost 900 yards and a couple touchdowns last year out really hurts the Bears, and it stinks because I really liked Cameron Meredith coming into this year. I thought he had a chance to really be a breakout guy, make a splash. New quarterbacks coming in, I thought he had a chance to really become the favorite guy. He played really well last year. He was a solid player last year. Prayers up to him as well. And then in terms of fantasy production, Ben, I think Kevin White and another guy that people forgot about is they acquired Marcus Wheaton from the Steelers.
And they have Victor Cruz as well.
Right, and Salsa Dance, Victor Cruz also in the mix.
So the thing for me is Kevin White is I've been high on Kevin White each of the past 2 years, and he's just a guy that he can't stay healthy either. But Matt, personally, I think the receiver to watch here on this team is Kendall Wright. People forget a lot about Kendall Wright.
Kendall Wright has always been solid.
3 years ago for Tennessee, he had 93 receptions. He was top 10 in the league in catches. So he's a guy that you can definitely rely on to get those catches. Not necessarily going to be, like I said, he's not going to be another one of those guys that's in the draftable spot. But if you see the first week or two, he's going to get some work. In a PPR, he could be worth that roster spot just to fill that position out. But definitely, guys, look out for Kevin White and Marcus Wheaton, I think, are the main
Especially for people who may have already drafted or are drafting. This applies to everybody. A lot of these Bears wide receivers were not picked and probably will go later in drafts if you haven't drafted yet. Just some guys to keep an eye on if when you're going to go drop that kicker, drop that extra defense, drop that extra tight end, whatever. Don't sleep on these Bears wide receivers now with Cameron Meredith out of the picture. Something to monitor going forward. A lot of them have a chance to really step up and make some impact. Staying with sadly, it was a tough week for
the knees.
Preseason injuries. I felt bad for everybody. Spencer Ware, full PCL tear. They think it's going to require season-ending knee surgery. Ware, who coming off a very underrated, solid season with only potential to get potentially better. Now he's out for the season. You got to talk about a guy that almost had 1,000 yards rushing and almost 500 yards receiving. A lot of people forget about that last year. He was a PPR solid play in a lot of leagues, a lot of different formats. Even in non-PPR leagues, he was a solid player. He had 6 total touchdowns. Spencer Ware, I thought coming into this year, we're going to talk about it a little bit with the AFC West. That's who we're doing our spotlight on. I really liked Spencer Ware coming into the season. Now he tears his knee up, and insert rookie from Toledo, Kareem Hunt, who we will also talk about in a little bit. I will talk about him. I think he's a guy now that steps onto the scene as a huge breakout candidate. But, it's just tough. Really hard week for guys, with Spencer Ware going down. Prayers up to him as well. So as we talked about, as I just mentioned, this week for our division spotlight, we are doing the AFC West. So you have your Oakland Raiders, Denver Broncos, go Chargers, go, and the Kansas City Chiefs. So, Ben, tough division here.
I was telling you earlier, I think this is personally one of, if not the best division in football. I think all these teams always put up good games against each other, especially. I mean, the weakest of the three is probably the Chargers, but I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean they're bad by any means. I think they have a high-powered offense. Their defense just lacks a little bit. But, I mean, there's a lot of good fantasy players in this division as well. We can start. I think one we can both agree on is Travis Kelce. Probably one of the best players.
I put Kelce down. In terms of position by position, Travis Kelce is as close to being Gronk as you could possibly get without being Gronk. I mean,
I think he's right there because Kelce is not always healthy. I don't want to say that.
He's consistently stayed healthy.
If he can keep his head on straight, because last year, remember, he got ejected.
He's got that fire. He's got that interesting personality. He can be a hothead, but there's no denying the man can flat out play football. I think he's the second best tight end far and away. I know a lot of people like to throw Jordan Reed into that conversation and Olsen, both great players, but I think it's Travis Kelce and Gronk together, and then it's the rest. I think this guy, when you talk about losing Macklin and you lose Spencer Ware now for the season, who is also a big pass catcher, I think that opens up. I think that opens up for Kelce to have another just monster season coming off. And he had over 1,100 yards last season. He only found the end zone 4 times, which hurt his numbers.
Yeah,
but over 1,100 yards for a tight end is nasty. Hey, this guy can play.
Yeah, I mean the only other guy they have on that team that can really catch passes is Chris Conley. I mean, he's the only one I can really think of that.
Tyreek Hill is also solid.
You're right. I'm sorry, Tyreek.
He's that big play home run guy, but
right. So I mean, for me, it makes it Travis Kelce's offense. It makes everything's going to want to go through him. So they have the
100%.
They have the 17th easiest strength of schedule as far as tight ends are concerned. So that's just a little something that's interesting. I think Kelce's a solid lock, though. He's probably if not the best, one of the best players in this division as far as fantasy is concerned.
I would definitely say so.
So who else do you have as the best
player? I put down, it's interesting, too, because later I'm going to talk about him a little bit. I put down Melvin Gordon based on his ADP. Everybody really loves Melvin Gordon. I'm a little lower on him than most. But a guy who, coming off a big season last year, 12 total touchdowns, an offense that probably will go mainly through him in the run game, and because their backup's Brandon Oliver, they don't really have, and Kenneth Farrow, so they don't really have anybody that can steal too many carries from him. Shaky offensive line, that's why I'm a little lower on him, and they have a tough schedule, but you got to throw him in there. Gordon's one of those top-tier running backs in fantasy football universe this year where running backs are scarce. It's hard to get workhorse guys. You got to throw Gordon into this mix. I think he's another solid player.
I have him as running back 5, right behind Bell, Johnson, McCoy, Freeman, and then I have Gordon. I think he had a pretty terrible rookie year, to say the least, scoring no touchdowns. Definitely had more last year with 12. I definitely think that number declines a little bit, but I still think he's worthy of that top 10 running back spot. Whether the offensive line is bad or not, really, Phillip Rivers, they have a good passing offense, and that's what I think helps him out is the ability that defenses have to worry about the pass as well. So I think that helps him out as well. I just think he's a hard runner. Melvin Gordon, definitely one of the best players in the division. Matt, I put the Broncos defense down.
Yeah, definitely. I had them down.
We can't talk about defenses too much, but we have them both. I think we both have them as their 1 or 2. So they're right there. They are not a lock for,
instant offense with their defense.
Exactly.
They find a way. When you got cornerbacks their secondary is incredible. They're just stacked up and down the defense.
Von Miller, he's predicting 20 or what do you say, 30 sacks or 20
30,
sacks?
Something like that. Yeah, it was crazy.
If anybody can do it, it's him. So, I don't put anything past him. But
I think you definitely have to put the Broncos in the mix because they're one of, I believe, 2 or 3 defenses that you can actually confidently pick with the intentions of playing them consistently.
Yep.
if you're not going to take them or the Seahawks or maybe the Chiefs or who have you,
the Texans, Cardinals, I think those are like the five big ones.
Then you may as well wait and stream defenses. But the Broncos are just so good, and they force turnovers, they score touchdowns. They're a team that you got to keep on your radar to pick them early because they do have that ability to save your day. I mean, put up a monster day. So you got to love the Broncos defense.
Yeah.
I didn't really put anyone else. I was thinking about throwing Amari Cooper into this mix. He's just a fringe top-tier wide receiver, kind of like high two-tier, like low.
See, you are not. Sorry, I got something in my eye here, guys. We'll talk about more later. I am down on Amari Cooper. There's something about the Raiders this year I don't like, and we'll talk. Like I said, we'll talk definitely about that in a little bit, but.
All right, sounds good. So we got to our best guys. Now, those are the guys, your clear-cut guys, your Gordons, Kelce's. Some sleepers for the AFC West, Ben. Throw me a sleeper name, will you?
So I have all three of my sleepers are actually going to be wide receivers, so I can make that. And I have two sleepers, both from – I'm going to talk about them both in one. Both from the Broncos offense. That's Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. Okay. Emmanuel Sanders, I heard an interesting stat today from the Fantasy Footballers. Emmanuel Sanders' last three finishes in PPR leagues, 3, 20, and 21. So I know, obviously, that year he finished third was with Peyton Manning, so that's a different story. But wide receiver 20, wide receiver 21. So that's wide receiver 2 numbers, fringe wide receiver 2 numbers, flex play. And he's getting drafted currently around wide receiver 35, 36, somewhere in that range. So I think he's going to be a sleeper in the sense that his value should be way up. And Demaryius Thomas last year, he had a down year, and I just think it was the fit. Like, I don't think nothing really clicked in that offense because they were debating between quarterbacks, going back and forth between who's going to be between Simeon and Lynch and all that. And Demaryius Thomas still put up 1,000 yards. He still had 70 catches. He still had 5 or 6 touchdowns. He finished in the top 20 for wide receivers. And right now he's going around wide receiver 15. And I think he has a guy that has a lot of upside, and I think he's a guy I would have no problem. Again, he's one of those guys where I get 2 stacked running backs. If he's my wide receiver 1, that's gold with me. So I don't think, like I said, I don't think he's a clear cut. I'm not putting him in that wide receiver 1 category, but he's that guy that has a very, very, very high ceiling and a relatively low floor, I think, especially with Simeon now being the starter, and I think he's going to get the work. I think Simeon's a very capable quarterback.
I think, in year 2 as the starter, guaranteed starter for Trevor Simeon, I think that they have a chance to get a little better. I know the thing with these guys, they're just so consistent. Thomas and Sanders have just been so, as you said, they've been so consistent. But I think the reason why people kind of shy away from them is because of that quarterback play. No one really knows how good Trevor Simeon is. I like those guys. I didn't put them really as sleepers. I think they're kind of right where they need to be. Sanders a little bit lower than Thomas. I think Sanders is a little underrated. I think Thomas is fair where they have him. And
like I said, that's valid. He should be right on the fringe of a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, and like I said, 15. That puts him in the wide receiver 2. But he's a guy that I think can put up top 10 numbers. So. But that's what the sleepers are about. So who do you have first? I have one more, but I want to let you hit a couple here.
I'm sticking with wide receivers too. I have 2 wide receivers in this division for sleepers as well. First of all, I'm going with Tyrell Williams from the Chargers.
Yeah, I think it was a breakout. So
that's cool.
We can kill it with both.
And I'm going with Michael Crabtree of the Oakland Raiders as well. I think this is another guy that's just not getting as much love as he should. So I'll talk about Williams first.
Crabtree was my other sleeper, so that
okay. So we'll get that. All right, beautiful. So Ty Will, in the absence of Keenan Allen. So I will say that these numbers are all with taking into account the absence of Keenan Allen. 70 catches, over 1,000 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So those are pretty solid numbers. I think.
Absolutely.
I forget his exact finishing spot, but he was a very good wide receiver. I had him on a team or two, and he was a solid flex play. I think that's what he's going to be again this year. San Diego's defense is not that great, so they're going to put them in a lot of positions where they're going to have to score points. And Phillip Rivers is still a very capable quarterback, I believe. He's a veteran. I think he tosses for a ton of yards. And I think that even though Keenan Allen is back in the mix, if he can remain healthy, he is another solid wide receiver. Mike Williams, the rookie from Clemson, out of the picture with an injury. Right. So I think that right now sets up for Tyrell Williams to get the second best coverage, but still have that talent. I think he has a chance to find his niche and continue to play well. Rivers clearly liked him last year, got a ton of targets. And I think he, in terms of his ADP, it's way, way down because of Keenan Allen back in the mix. I think he provides some value in those later rounds.
Right, and I think the big thing, if you look at, here's the way I looked at it when I evaluated Tyrell Williams. And so Tyrell Williams last year served basically as a wide receiver 1 when Keenan Allen went down. Travis Benjamin was basically the main wide receiver 2, but they did mix it up a lot. They had Tyrell Williams, and I think they had another Williams as well, or another, I don't know, some weird name that also made some.
Dontrell Inman.
Dontrell Inman, yeah. So, between those two, last year alone, Benjamin, who now will be basically the role that Tyrell Williams will play, had 50 catches for 680 yards and 4 touchdowns, which is not outstanding numbers, but those are a guy that can be a good filler or even a flex play. I think Benjamin finished in the top 40 wide receivers, I think, last year. So that's what you're looking for from a guy like that, especially that late in the draft. Because you can get Tyrell Williams, and I think the 13th or something round,
he's going late.
So he's a guy that's going super late. So that's definitely a value pick there. So like I said, I have him as a breakout. I think he has potential to be bigger and even better because I think with Keenan Allen, like you said, he's going to be getting the number 2 coverage. And Phillip Rivers is a guy that has potential to throw for 5,000 yards. So
yeah,
I like
absolutely.
Tyrell Williams as well.
I like Ty Will and Crabtree. We both had as sleepers as well.
Yeah, I want to talk more about Crabtree, but I'm going to talk to him more later on because I have a bust that contradicts everything. So
okay,
and we can obviously know who that is. So they already said it. But
there you go. Well, no, we'll talk about it. I like Crabtree. I think he's a guy that gets a lot of red zone work. He's consistent. He arguably coming off his best season of his career. He's heading into his 9th season. Last year, hauled in 90 balls for over 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. So clearly Derek Carr likes him in terms of passing to him in the red zone, in the end zone. He's a bigger target. He can go get it. I think he has better hands than Amari Cooper. I like Crabtree. I think he's another guy that provides a lot of value for where he's going. He's going right now, later rounds, 6, 7, 8, getting flexed. Yeah. People, he's getting drafted as a lot of people's like flex or worse. I think he's got a lot of value there. Don't sleep on King Crab, man. King Crab,
Mr. Krabs himself. So let's move on. If we go to breakouts, I think that was all we have for sleepers. So now we're moving on. So the breakout players like Matt and I talk about normally, breakout for me is a guy that you draft and you just think that he's going to outperform his numbers. Not necessarily going in a certain spot, but if you have a guy that you think is going to get 1,000 yards and they're predicting him for 1,000 yards, that's a breakout. You have your own opinions on these as well. I have 3 of these. We already talked about Tyrell Williams a little bit. So next I'm going to go C.J. Anderson here. The thing for me with C.J. Anderson is he's won the starting job in Denver. The backfield, they don't have a great offensive line by any means, but they also, I don't want to say they have a bad offensive line either. They've been trying to fill it in. Derek Bowles, the guy they drafted, is expected to be ready for the start of the year. They have the 12th easiest strength of schedule against the run year long. And like we said with the start, Trevor Siemian still working his way into being a starting quarterback, so I think they're going to rely on their run a little bit. And Matt, their backup running backs really are not that good. Looking at them running the preseason, they have Jamal
Charles and Devontae Booker. I heard Charles they were talking about could get cut.
Yeah, Devontae Booker really is not very good. Watching him run the preseason,
Booker didn't impress last year or in the preseason. So it is C.J. Anderson's job. I like C.J. I mean, he definitely provides some value. I think he's a solid player. Like you said, though, the biggest concern with him is probably the offensive line.
I got him yesterday, Matt, in my draft in the 12-team league in the 9th round, and I feel like he is a way higher value than that, in my opinion. So he's that guy that I think can definitely break out and outscore what his predictions are.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I could definitely agree with Anderson. Staying in the running game, this one kind of obvious, and we'll talk about him a little bit too with the rookie, but I'm all in on Kareem Hunt right now. I think they have a good offensive line, and with no more Spencer Ware, he's got the job. They're going to try to utilize him. They've already said he's the man. He's RB1. He's stepping into that role. The rookie from Toledo, probably with nowhere near anybody's in terms of like with Mixon, McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, all these rookie running backs coming in.
I have him higher than all of them. I honestly moved him up higher than all of them.
At this point, I would have to put him probably similar to McCaffrey, but ahead of the other two.
I think the only one I don't have high, over the past couple of weeks, I've gotten really, really high on Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's looked really good. He's been able to catch the ball out of the backfield better than what I was expecting. So Dalvin Cook, I have him up there in that wide receiver 2 or running back 2, right at the top of the running back 2 category, actually. But I mean, Kareem Hunt, a lot of people were expecting him to take the starting job outright from Spencer Ware in the first place. They thought he was going to compete. He looked really good. So, Kareem Hunt, I'm all in now. He's up there, definitely going to be probably a 3rd, 4th round pick, honestly.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that you have to kind of adapt now your drafting strategy, because I don't know if it's really factored in how much that's helped his stock. I think Kareem Hunt has a chance to have a huge, huge year. They like to use the running backs both in the running game and the passing game. As we said, with Macklin gone, that's another weapon, just more targets and more usage for Kareem Hunt. So I really like him. I think that he was my only breakout guy. I think he's going to be fantastic.
I just had one more. I had one more, Keenan Allen. Again, Keenan Allen's a guy that I think he was definitely a wide receiver 1 before he had back-to-back seasons now where he was injured. But the year before that, he finished as a top 10 wide receiver. And if he's healthy, I think he has all capability of doing that again. And right now, I think he's somewhere around wide receiver, 17 or 18 or something like that, in that range. And I think he has potential to be way higher than that and get to that wide receiver 1 category. So I have him as a breakout coming back from an injury.
And one more guy I just really want to kind of mention, and I don't know whether it's like such a breakout or more of just a sleeper. Charger tight end, while you're talking about the Chargers, Hunter Henry. I think Hunter Henry has a chance to come in and have a really solid fantasy year. Had a great rookie campaign in which he caught for almost 500 yards, but he hauled in 8 touchdowns. 8 touchdowns. That was a lot. And I know a lot of that had to do with the fact that Keenan Allen was out. But I think Hunter Henry has a chance to now step in and kind of start to mold into that. And I don't want to make these kind of comparisons because they are really great players. But I think he's got a guy that a couple years down the road could start to mold into that Olsen, Kelsey kind of guy. And that he's got a great skill set, blocking and pass catching tight end.
Yeah, I mean he's a guy especially in a dynasty league. He's worth a target too, earlier target because he's going to be around for a little bit, like you said. And
I think he's a big. I think he's definitely one of those guys that you can get late if you don't snag one of those really good tight ends. You can wait on him, and I think he's been going pretty late, and he provides a lot of value late in the draft as well. This is going to be a big stepping stone year for him. I think he has a chance to produce this year very much.
Yeah, and the thing with Hunter Henry, don't forget, he had 8 touchdowns last year with Antonio Gates getting a lot more work. And Antonio Gates basically served as the 1 last year because they were trying to get him that record. And now with him only being 1 touchdown away, I think Hunter Henry's going to reverse roles. And I think Hunter Henry has even more ability to get more touchdowns, more catches than what he had last year, which is saying a lot.
I agree. I like him a lot this year. So, that's all we really have for the sleepers and the breakouts. So, Ben, are there anybody in this division? Well, yeah, I already know. Tell us, Ben, who is your bust for the AFC West?
I have 2 busts.
Oh, wow.
And they're both on the Raiders. I know you're a little higher on one guy than I am. Marshawn Lynch is my first one.
Ooh, come on. Put some respect on Beast Mode's name.
And I'll say the other one, too, right off the bat, too, is Amari Cooper. The thing for me, Matt, listen to these. The Raiders. Hardest quarterback strength of schedule for the quarterback. The second hardest strength of schedule against the run. And the third hardest strength of schedule for wide receivers. That does not bode well for that offense for me in any way, shape, or form. Marshawn Lynch said earlier this week he did not miss playing football. So for me, if Marshawn Lynch goes down with a sprained ankle, do you think he's going to take the time to rehab and come back? I personally am not so sure he's going to give it his all. I know he's going to play hard, and when he's on the field, he will run hard. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But he's a guy that I just think that he had a year off of football. He has the potential to not live up to the hype of what he's getting right now. They do have a very good offensive line, and that is something that will benefit them. It'll help keep Derek Carr protected. It will help Marshawn Lynch run. And I'm saying Marshawn Lynch will still have a pretty good year. But I think Marshawn Lynch has the potential to finish as like a wide receiver, or I keep saying wide receiver, a later running back instead of the running back back end of the first, second round like they have him going right now. So for me, that's where Marshawn Lynch.
I could see the Amari Cooper potential bust just because of how high he's going and how much he could be used in relation to Michael Crabtree, amongst others. I like Marshawn Lynch. I think, like you said, they have one of the best offensive lines in football. They
Yep.
really do with Assembly, Donald Penn, Gabe Jackson, Hudson. Just a solid unit. So I think that really is the reason why they've been able to combat these good defenses like the Chiefs that they have to play twice and the Broncos that they have to play twice. So, I mean, they do have a tough schedule, but I think that Derek Carr has proven he could do it, and I think their offensive line has proven they could protect. So I think that Beast Mode has a chance to be underrated this year as well. It depends.
It's weird. It's interesting. He's in an interesting spot. Like I said, I'm not saying he's going to have
not much competition.
I'm not saying he's going to have 500 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. I still think he has capability of. He has the path to easily rush for 1,000 yards, 8 or 9 touchdowns, and finish like the running back 12, 13 like he's going right now. But I also think that he has that very, very low floor where at any point it could just all go awry for him. And I want to get into the actual – I said I had numbers on Amari Cooper. 2015, Michael Crabtree had 15 red zone targets and 2 touchdowns. Amari Cooper had 8 red zone targets and 2 touchdowns. So they had the same number of touchdowns, 7 more targets to Amari Cooper though. And Crabtree saw 25% of the targets in the red zone. So that was 2015. 2016, it went up even more with the addition of Derek Carr actually playing well. 26 red zone targets for Crabtree with 7 touchdowns. And Amari Cooper had 17 red zone targets and a big fat 0 red zone touchdowns. And again, 25% of the targets in the red zone went to Michael Crabtree, and only 16.4% went to Amari Cooper. So Derek Carr loves throwing to Crabtree in the red zone. I think Crabtree is a better receiver in that core. Amari Cooper definitely is a better dynasty play, and he'll be good for a long time. But Amari Cooper's numbers have been going, or Michael Crabtree's numbers have been nothing but going up since he got in Oakland. So I think Michael Crabtree's the better receiver there for me.
Yeah, I still like Cooper. I think Cooper's very talented. He does have that big play capability, so you always have to watch him for that.
And I'm not saying he's not talented. I just think Crabtree's very underrated, and Crabtree can honestly be that wide receiver
definitely.
one with Amari Cooper. They could both be wide receiver 1, but I think Crabtree's in a better spot.
I think without a doubt, you got to definitely keep your eye on Crabtree. I still like Cooper.
Those were my busts, though, were Cooper and Lynch.
This division was hard because there's really not any players that I'm like super, super low on. So the one guy that I just put maybe not so much as a bust, but more so just to be wary on based on where he's getting drafted is Melvin Gordon.
Right.
And the only reason I say that is because they have a very below-average offensive line. I think Pro Football Focus has them ranked as the 24th offensive line or something like that. And so I'm not super sold on him. The Chargers' offense has always performed the best when Phillip Rivers is slinging it and they're doing well and he's playing well. And they do have that talented slew of wide receivers back. So with Allen, Williams, and I think Henry's going to be good. And we mentioned Benjamin and Inman. So they do have some solid targets for Rivers. Just a guy that I think in terms of where he's going, he's getting picked ahead of Freeman in a lot of cases. He's getting picked ahead of Ajayi in a lot of cases, ahead of Jordan Howard. Just be careful with Melvin Gordon, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm in that range where I'm going to have to make a decision, I think, between Gordon and Freeman. And, I mean, I'm picking Freeman in that case, but if Freeman's off the board, and I think Melvin Gordon's a for sure lock for a running back 1, maybe top 12 at least for sure. But I don't have an issue with Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like I'm.
But you are right. You are. He could definitely digress down to that.
I just think based on his ADP, I think you got to be careful with Melvin Gordon.
He's another guy for me. It's a workload back.
Yeah,
He's get a lot of work,
absolutely,
so.
And he does get a lot of work now in LA. So I think that he's still solid. I'll just be careful with him. Like you said, I'm taking Freeman over him, and a couple other guys I might have to think about it. Maybe with like Murray, another guy that's going to be in that range. So. Just be careful with Melvin Gordon. That offensive line scares me a little bit, but that's really all I have for busts. I think this division is very solid. I think there's a lot of value in this AFC West division. And Ben, we've already talked about Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, that's all I had for rookies.
There's really this division doesn't really have any rookies that are worth.
Mike Williams would have been a good one if he was
healthy.
Yeah,
Mike Williams would have been 100% one if he was healthy. Michigan tight end Jake Butt. for the Denver
Get
Broncos.
that smile off your face, Matt. Come on now. Act your age a little.
Well, no, I was just thinking about how he played for Michigan and how bad Michigan stinks. But now I think that, a guy that with Virgil Green as his competition in Denver, maybe a guy that could turn into this year's Hunter Henry.
Yeah, if he comes back, if he gets back healthy, I know he's rehabbing hard. I don't know if he's 100% there yet from his injury, but I do know that he dropped down in the draft. People have really high on him until he got injured. But you're right. He's a guy that I think can fill in. Denver always likes their tight ends. I know it was different when they had Peyton there, but tight ends are a good safety valve. When you're a young quarterback like Simeon is, there's room. There's that, and there might be that Big Ten connection there as well with Simeon being from Northwestern. So
yeah, keep your eye on Butt up in Denver. No pun intended. We'll get away from that name now. I had too much fun with that.
That concludes the AFC West spotlight, guys. We have one left. It's going to be NFC North. That'll be next week.
So by default, next week, you guys are listening to the NFC North. Sorry to say. Quick record predictions, Ben. What do you like in this division record-wise?
I have the Raiders and Chiefs both going 10-6. I have the Broncos going 8-8 and the Chargers going 8-8. So I think, like I said, I do think this division is one of the best divisions. I think I think this is a division where no one really stands out. The Raiders are probably the best team, but like I said, their strength of schedule kind of scares me a little bit on the offensive end. Their defense is a little shaky here and there. I know they got Khalil Mack, but their defense is a little shaky for me. But I think they'll all beat each other once. It'll be like that flip-flop, back and forth between the division. But I think it ends up being like that. The Raiders and Chiefs both 10-6. The Broncos, Chargers 8-8.
Yeah, for me, similar, but not exactly. I got the Raiders going 12-4. I think that they're, there's a lot of games I think they can win on that schedule. I have the Broncos coming in at 10-6. I have the Chiefs at 9-7, and I have the Chargers at 7-9. So, up for grabs. I think this division always has a chance to send 2, maybe even 3 sometimes.
Yeah.
Teams.
I had the Chiefs winning the division until Ware went down. I think Ware honestly cost them a game. I know Kareem Hunt probably is going to be pretty good, but I just think that veteranship that Spencer Ware had with the offense last year, I had honestly losing a game because of that now. So I had them now tied, but I had them winning the division before.
Yeah, I agree. The Chiefs lost a game or two when they lost Ware because he was a big part of their offense last year, and they don't have Macklin. I think that's tough. And didn't they just lose a defensive player as well? They actually just added Reggie Ragland today in a trade from the Bills. Did you see that?
Bills are I don't even know what's going on with the Bills. So
Bills are cleaning house, man. It's going to be tough. But, hey, maybe Shady's going to carry the team. So that's pretty much all we have for the AFC West Division Spotlight, guys. Tune in next week for the AFC North, or the NFC North. And now with college football.
This is my favorite thing. This
college
is where
college football a couple days away. Well, no, what Thursday we have games.
There are actually games this past weekend. We actually had a couple games this past weekend.
A couple week 0.
I think people are kind of offended by that. They're calling 5 days till kickoff when we had a lot of games. Stanford ran away with the game. I don't know if you saw that. They won 62-7 again in Australia. But yeah, so we have our bets coming up now. This is where I really take my commanding lead on Matt is in these kind of divisions and stuff that, these games. So just to fill you guys in really quick on the betting, we did have, like Matt said earlier, I won the Mayweather-McGregor fight. Matt won the Colts-Steelers game. So the standings currently are I have 5 points and Matt has a whopping 2. So he's really making big progress. We do have 2 bets that are in play and will not conclude till the end of the year with the Jaguars over under 6.5 wins and Isaiah Crowell, top 15 running back after week 6. But we have our college football bets for this week because we won't do another podcast till next week. We have 7 bets for you here tonight. And how these work are Matt and I do not have to pick against each other. We bet on the spread in the games, who we want, and it's just a straight up. And whoever gets it right, if we both get it right, you just add points to us. If one of us gets it right, you add points. We have the tally. It's on our website. We'll post the link on our Twitter as well so you guys can follow along. But don't forget, whoever loses this challenge between Matt and I has to buy one of our lucky followers a copy of either Madden 18 or NBA 2K18 for the system of your choice at the end of the year.
New Madden. I've been playing the new Madden all week. The new Madden is fantastic, so definitely stay tuned for that giveaway.
And I've been playing Madden 03 on my PlayStation 1 preparing. So
nice. So you're getting ready for you're getting your skills honed in. But Madden 18 sweet. Who's on the cover of 03? Have we talked about this? We never figured this out.
I don't think we have. I'm gonna Google it right now, honestly, because I have it up, and I think it might be. I thought it was Marshall Faulk.
No, Marshall Faulk was 2000, buddy. You got no clue. Tom Brady.
Are you sure?
Tom Brady, the GOAT. Maybe he is. I don't know. But Tom Brady, the GOAT, is on Madden 18, and let me tell
It
you,
is
Madden
Marshall
18.
Faulk. So
Is it really?
Yeah.
So
you're
Faulk
welcome.
me.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck you.
Faulk me.
So
all right, sweet. All right, so let's get into
so here we go, Matt.
betting.
Pick number 1 of the college football season. This game's Thursday night. Number 2, Ohio State versus Indiana at Indiana. Ohio State favored by 20.5. Matt, who you got?
Couldn't go with the Ohio State Buckeyes. I'm going with the Indiana Hoosiers to cover that 20.5-point spread. I think Lego, the quarterback for Indiana, very underrated. That boy let it fly last year. It's in Indiana. I'm going with the Hoosiers to cover the spread. I'm picking Indiana in that game.
I'm not. I'm picking Ohio State. I think they cover this. I think they do it relatively easy. I think they'll get off to a slow start like they normally do, but in the second half, JT Barrett will show out and they'll ball out and they'll win.
That was the big thing for me with this game was starting the season out on the road against Ohio State usually starts off against like North Agricultural Technical Canadian State Community College, and they usually beat them by 100. This is one of their more
it's a Big Ten game right out the bat.
Yeah, so exactly. And Big Ten games are tough, and I think Indiana's going to come out slinging. I think that they'll end. I do think Indiana will eventually lose, but I do think that they cover the spread here.
All right, so there you go. So right off the bat,
game number 2, we have Maryland staying with the Big Ten. Maryland heading to number 23, Texas. 17.5-point favorites, Texas.
Yep.
Who do you like in this game?
I like Maryland. I almost picked Maryland to win this outright. Maryland, I think, is a very underrated team in that Big Ten. I think they're going to perform very well this year. Texas, it's been a rough past couple of years for them. I think Tom Herman coming in, he does bring a new culture to them, and I do think Texas will have a good year. But I am picking Maryland. I think they cover. I do think Texas maybe wins the game, but I think it's a lot closer. As Lee Corso would say, closer than the experts think. I think Maryland comes out at least covering, if not winning outright.
So we don't have to pick against each other in these, but the first two were going against each other. I got Texas in this game covering the spread. I think Texas offense is going to come out very solid to start this year. I like Texas in this. I think, like you said, the new head coach coming in going to try to change the culture a little bit. I think it starts right from the get-go. They get a big win over Maryland. I don't think Maryland's that great. Maryland hasn't impressed me the last couple of years, seeing them play Penn State.
But they were young, and this year they finally have a lot of their core back. I'm not saying that, like I said, I don't think they're going to make the football playoff. I think they have a chance to be ranked by the end of the year, but the Big Ten is one of the toughest divisions, so it's hard to climb in there. But that's why I think they try to get out of this game right out of the gate, get a big win against a ranked opponent, make their safe known. Next game, Matt, get into the bigger games this weekend. On Saturday, we got Michigan. Number 11, Michigan versus number 17, Florida. They're playing at AT&T Stadium, playing in Jerry's World. Michigan, 3.5-point favorites. Who do you like?
I'm going with the Blue and Maize. I'm going with Michigan. It pains me to say it, but Florida's without Antonio Callaway, arguably their best player. And I think Michigan comes in just more experienced.
Did you see the uniforms they're wearing?
Yeah, the all-maize uniforms are really sweet for Michigan. Malik Zaire, I think it's going to be a learning curve for him in Florida with a defensive-minded coach in McElwain. I'm taking Michigan. The spread, I think the spread should probably be a little higher, to be honest with you, but I know when it's close.
And guys, just so you know, the spreads may change for these games, but we're going to take them at what we have them at now. Unless there is a major injury or anything like that, which Matt and I will converse with each other and decide what we should do in that case. But yeah, in this one, Michigan, like I said, they're playing in a neutral slate. If this game was at Florida, it might be a little different, but playing in Jerry's World. And guys, speaking of that, I'm going to take a real minute. And Matt, I'm sorry, I'm going to throw a curveball at you here. If you guys haven't and you get the chance, go donate money to the Red Cross. Donate $10 of your time for the reliefs in Houston. What's happening right there, man? They're having a flooding super bad from this hurricane.
It's absolutely terrible.
On par with
Katrina.
Houston
Right now.
I don't know if you saw today, Matt. The Rockets owner donated $4 million.
I saw that. The Texans
donated $4 million or $1 million. The Astros owner just donated $4 million. So, guys, they need all the help they can get. If you could take 5 minutes and donate $10, you might not think it means a lot, but it does. And there's a lot of college.
Every little bit helps.
All these people are at homes, deaths. So it's really serious. And I know we don't normally do this, but I wanted to take a minute and do that as well.
Definitely
But
praying for the people in Houston and in other parts of Texas.
but back
as
to
well.
the action, Matt. So we got the premier game
This is the
of
big one.
Open. This is probably the game of the year, honestly. You can almost say realistically, and it's week 1. We got number 3 Florida State versus number 1 Alabama.
In the new Atlanta Superdome.
The new Atlanta Mercedes-Benz Superdome.
The only day of the year that they'll be able to eat the Chick-fil-A in the Superdome.
Alabama is 7-point favorites, Matt. And I know who I'm picking Florida State, and I'm not really happy about it because I picked against Alabama. So let me just – last year I remember when Bama played USC last year?
Yeah.
At the opening game, and Bama was favored by like 14 or 17 or something. I go, oh, South Carolina or USC will cover that. And they lost 58 to like 3.
Yep.
So from that day on, I said I'll never pick against Bama again. But I'm going to do it
against
here.
Bama.
I'm going to pick against Bama. I'm going to take them. 7's a lot. 7 really is, I think, a lot for this game because Florida State's no slouch. So I think it could be a close game. Don't get me wrong, I do think Bama has the potential to blow them out. But I think the game is going to end up being close, and I think Florida State can pull it off.
I think Florida State is going down in this game. I think it's going to end up being by at least 2 touchdowns. I think it'll be a little more than 7. Alabama's so good, man. They're returning, their whole offense besides what is Ardarius Stewart is back. Ridley.
OJ Howard's gone, but
OJ Howard. Oh yeah, OJ Howard's gone. They always reload on defense.
Yeah,
it's hard to pick against Saban.
It's hard. It is very hard to pick against them. I'm just
my personal opinion of Florida State. I think they're very good. I think DeAndre Francois has a chance to be really good this season. But I think they're just a slight bit overrated heading into the season.
Yeah, and that's a fair argument. It really is. It's a fair argument.
A slight bit. Very good team. I think down the stretch they have a chance to really, put some pressure on that ACC, and I like them a lot. But I'm going with Bama. I think Bama's going to cover. I really like Alabama. It's hard to pick against them. It is.
And like I said, I did, and I don't know if I'm happy about it or not.
This could be one of the most dominant that Alabama's been in terms of relative to other teams coming in. They're so good, and
it just gets boring sometimes. Like I love watching college football, but it's on. It's like college football playoff. Put Bama in now. Just put them in now. And
so that's actually our third one out of the 4 picks so far that we've gone against each other. So a lot of bloodshed going to be happening after this pick'em. But we're going to stick with the Florida State game, Bama game, really quick. The over/under set at 49.5.
That's easy. That's over.
I took the over.
Crush the over. Pound. If you guys bet, I'd pound the over on that.
Yeah.
So this game could, I think, go one of 2 ways. Personally, it's either going to be a close game and it'll be a shootout because neither defense is ready yet because it's the first game of the regular season.
Or Bama's going to score
49 on their own. And it might be like 49-14 or something like that. So I think you pound the over here. 49.5, I think that's low. I think it goes over easily.
I think it's going to be something in like the 38-24 range would be my guess. If I had
that's fine with me because that means Florida State covers. So
yeah. Well, no, not 30. No,
34-28.
I said 30. I said 38-24.
No, you didn't. But that's what you meant. No,
we'll
play it back. Go
watch it out again and replay it. But anyway,
okay.
So we're both taking the over. So really, no blood there. Another one where we got no blood. UCLA hosting Texas A&M. Chosen Rosen starting off his next campaign. UCLA 4.5-point favorites. We both took UCLA. Ben, you think UCLA's got this covered?
Yeah, I think it's a home game. I think UCLA they have the quarterback. I think UCLA wins this. Not easy, but I definitely think they cover. They win it by at least a touchdown.
The home field was what really did it for me on this one.
Yeah.
Starting out in front of the home fans against I think Texas A&M could potentially be shaky this year. I'm not like a super big believer in them. I think UCLA wins this by 2 touchdowns at least. I'm on UCLA. Last one here, 22 West Virginia going to take on 21 Virginia Tech. So
yeah, this is on Sunday actually. This game.
Yep, the Sunday game
at FedEx Field. I don't know do they normally play at FedEx Field? I think they have their own stadium. Does it Virginia Tech?
I'll have to double check that.
I think this is technically a neutral site game, but definitely in the favor of Virginia Tech.
5-point favorites.
5-point favorites. And Matt and I, we did take different people in this one. Matt, I took West Virginia. I think behind
the Mountaineers.
I think this is going to be interesting because I think it's an high-powered offense versus a pretty high-powered defense. That's what I think you're going to get out of this game. And I think the Dana Holgerson's offense is just going to take advantage. I think West Virginia wins. I think it's a close game. And I'm not saying necessarily West Virginia wins. I definitely think they cover, but I do think they will win the game outright as well.
Yeah.
So.
I'm going with the Hokies. I like Virginia Tech. Like you said, they have a solid defense. I think that their defense is going to take – it will be a close game. I think this will be a very close game. I would probably have to pick Virginia Tech winning by 7, 10, something in that range. Like you said, I think it definitely favors them in terms of home field. It is a neutral site game, but favoring the Hokies. I'm going with the Hokies. So I think
Hokie high, huh?
Out of the 7 picks, we disagreed on 4 of them.
So so you got a chance. You got a chance to make your run here.
I know I could make up some serious ground here.
Yeah. So and how it's going to work, guys, is I think for what we're going to do is college games. We'll probably pick about this many each week. If there's a really big week where there's a lot of good games, we'll pick more. NFL, I think we're going to do probably about 8 games or so. Probably pick half of them because there's going to be some where it's like Jets, Patriots, and I think neither of us are going to pick the Jets in that. But no matter
don't sleep on the Jets, man. They just named McCown their starter over Penn State boy Christian Hackenberg. Hackenberg looked awful.
As usual.
But, hey, you know what? You're missing one of the best teams in college football on this list, Ben. We didn't go bet on the Penn State game?
If you want, we can. I just didn't really do it because it's Akron against Penn State, and Penn State is 30.5-point favorites. Personally, I think Penn State's good, but 30.5 is a lot no matter who you are on opening day. I didn't want to. I was trying to keep the good games on here, Matt. I think you and I are both Penn State fans. I think we expect Penn State to win by a lot. So
anytime the Nittany Lions are on the field, it's a good game.
Well, I got UCF playing Thursday night against FIU, and I didn't bring that one up. So
well, we could bring those two in. Who do you like in that game? What's the spread on FIU?
UCF and FIU is I think it's 17 for UCF, which honestly for me is even a lot. But
all right, well, we'll keep the biased blood out of this betting challenge. Why don't we? We'll keep it out. I think Penn State's going to win. The 30-point spread is a lot.
That's a lot. And they could definitely do it. But Penn State always starts out a little slow.
They do start out slow historically. They always open up with a weak opponent, and they never kick the crap out of them like they should. I think this year could be different. I think 30 is going to be close.
Yeah.
30.5 is close. If I was going to bet, I would have to take Penn State, obviously.
Well, yeah.
But we'll leave those out of it.
Yeah, we'll leave them out. Like I said, we're going to have plenty of games when Penn State plays Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin, like all those big teams. They have a lot of good games. I'm sure we'll get to bet on. Don't worry, because I want to bet on them too. But I think we got a good list here of the best games of the first weekend.
These are some good games. I liked it a lot.
Week 2, I know we got Ohio State and Oklahoma are playing together again, so that'll be a good one. We got a lot of good games in week 2, but week 1 we'll get started and get going in football.
So next week, hey, guys, real quick plug. If you're not following us on Twitter, Facebook, go get us on Facebook, /MRB Sports, on Twitter, @MRB Sports. Go check out our website for all kinds of cool content, makeorbreaksports.weebly.com. And big thing, if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, hit that sub button below. Please throw a like on the video. We really appreciate the support as always. Turn your notifications on so it'll let you know when we are going live. And follow us on all our social media platforms so you know when we're going live. If you like what we're doing here, let us know. Comment below. Tell us what you think. If there's anything you want to see, as always, we will bring it to you. Next week, big week. It's going to be a great episode. We might actually switch up our times and days because of football coming up. So we'll have to adjust that. And
ideally, we'd like to bring you guys 2 shows a week because we know we're going to have college football and NFL football and student basketball to talk about. So we think we're going to do 2 shorter shows, maybe like 40 minutes each show, twice a week. But we're going to try and figure that out. So ideally, we're going to try and think of 2 nights during the week to do that. But stay tuned. We'll let you know more on that when it comes. Stay tuned this week. We're going to try and release 1, maybe 2 more specials for you later this week before we get into the bulk of the season. We still got some more rankings to go through with you guys. But like Matt said, go follow us, hit us up. Twitter, anything. If you have any questions, we can get to you. Any fantasy football questions, advice you need, any betting advice you need, talk to us. We can try and help you.
It's all about interaction, guys. It's all for you guys.
Any stretch of the arm, we're not. geniuses. But
Absolutely. Well, hey,
Matt
thank
said
you.
34-28 and said that covered the spread. So
No, we'll do a replay on that. I'm going right back and checking that
I
out.
am
So
too. Don't worry.
we're gonna keep you honest, guys. Thanks for watching. If you're watching live, we really appreciate it. If you're watching after the fact, we also really appreciate it. If you're new, like I said, hit that sub button. Hey, high hopes, low blows here at Make or Break Sports. I'm Matt.
I'm Ben. You guys have a good rest of your week.
See you, everybody.